It is Y105, Dubuque's #1 hit music station. My name is Steve Pulaski. My next guest is a famous nutritionist, public health advocate, and NYU professor, famous for analyzing the way food marketing plays into our daily dietary choices. Her book, Food Politics, is must-read stuff if you're new to the subject. She's also been in documentaries like Super Size Me and its sequel. She was also recently the subject of a terrific feature story in the New York Times by Elizabeth G. Dunn. She is Dr. Marion Nestle. Dr. Nestle, how are you today?
I'm just fine.
Very nice to talk to you. I know you're a very busy soul, but for people who aren't familiar with the depths of your work, where do you concentrate a lot of your studies and your research?
Well, I write about the politics of food. I write a daily blog at foodpolitics.com that people can subscribe to or look at. And I try to keep up with what's happening in the world of food politics. It used to be that everybody asked me, what on earth does food have to do with politics? But since RFK Jr. got appointed as head of Health and Human Services, I don't get asked that anymore.
We're going to talk about him and some of the hot topics in food in just a few minutes. But I want to know, too, you detailed it a little bit in the New York Times piece. And there's one project of yours that I'm really interested in. But what are you currently working on, Dr. Nestle?
Well, I have 2 books coming out this year, both of them connected because one's a piece of the other one. But I have a new edition of a book I wrote in 2006, What to Eat, coming out in November. It's called What to Eat Now. It's enormous. It's going to be about 750 pages. And it's kind of everything that I think about food issues, using supermarkets as an organizing device. So I go around the supermarkets aisle by aisle talking about the issues that arise in each section.
What are some of the most pressing food-related issues prevalent in America right now based on what you've uncovered?
Well, I'm a public health person, so I'm interested in health issues, and the 2 big ones are not having enough food or of the right kind of food because you don't have enough money to buy it, or eating too much of the wrong kind of food so that you gain weight, become obese, and at risk for type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and all those other diseases. Those are enormous public health problems that our food system is making worse, not better.
I love your work too, Dr. Nestle, because you really opened my eyes at a young age. I remember seeing you in Super Size Me and just kind of latching onto your words and how you analyzed, in that case, the fast food industry. We think of America as a country of self-reliance and individual choice, and it is to a degree. But from your research, who really makes our food decisions for us?
Well, obviously we do. When we go to the grocery store and we're buying a food, we're voting with our fork for the kind of food system that we want. But what's in that grocery store and where it's placed and how much it costs is a behind-the-scenes operation that most people don't see. And the way I like to put it is that food companies make products that we might love to eat, but they're not social service agencies. They're not public health agencies. They're businesses with stockholders to please. And like any other business in the United States these days, their job is to sell as much product as possible, regardless of its effect on human health or the health of the planet. And that's where the problem comes in.
Let me make sure I understand this correctly, too. This is really of interest to me. You've got a project coming out, or you're working on a project that details what sort of food marketing by way of breakfast cereals. Is that correct? Am I on base?
Well, yeah, that's a book for 2026. I'm working on it right now. I've collected cereal boxes for years because cereal companies change the design of the boxes several times a year and respond very quickly to trends and fads and regulations. And this will be a book about analyzing cereal boxes and demonstrating how the companies use those boxes to market their products. again, regardless of how healthy a sugar-sweetened cereal might be for your child.
She's Dr. Marion Nestle, famous nutritionist, public health advocate. Didn't mention this earlier, though, but she's also 88 years old, whip smart, and has more energy than me at 28 years old. I laud you, Dr. Nestle, too. How active are you, if you don't mind me asking, in your daily life?
Well, I don't know what makes me so lucky, but I still am able to do what I've always been able to do. I live in New York City. I don't have a car. I have to walk everywhere and take subways. I think subways keep you young.
It appears that the two of the biggest talking points, I should say, in food right now, at least buzzwords, you mentioned RFK, seed oils and the use of beef tallow. Seed oils have been accused by some of being harmful. Beef tallow is said to be better than vegetable oils. What does your research into the subjects tell you about both seed oils and beef tallow, Dr. Nestle?
Well, like everything else in nutrition, everything in moderation. I don't think seed oils are poison, but they do have 120 calories per tablespoon and are best consumed in moderation. And beef tallow, delicious as it may be, also has more than 100 calories per tablespoon and is very high in saturated fat. And we would all be healthier eating less saturated fat.
That's a word Americans might not like, especially when it comes to portions, is moderation. But you use that a lot in your research, and it's a very important part of, I guess, how you broadcast different diets and, dietary management to people, though, too. Is there anything, though, that we should look to actively eliminate from our diets? Have none of it, not moderation, just none.
Well, I'm a foodie. I really love food. I think it's really important. It's one of life's greatest pleasure. I would never suggest that anybody deny eating or, refuse to eat something that they really love. You just can't eat too much of it. The big problem in American diets today is too many calories. That's a problem for rich people and poor people. And we really shouldn't be eating so much. And some foods encourage us to eat more calories than we need or want. These are the really highly processed foods that we used to call junk foods and now we call ultra-processed. And those should be eaten in relatively small quantities. No nutritionist would be the slightest bit concerned if the only sugar-sweetened beverages anybody ever drank were 8 ounces. Those 8-ounce cans. Those are not a problem. It's the liters that are a problem, or the quarts that are a problem. And so that's where the idea of moderation comes in. Moderation is one of those words that everybody defines in their own way. But if you're trying to cut calories, the easiest way to do it is not to drink sugar-sweetened beverages, or at least very much of them, and to cut down on calories and not eat as much junk food. Really, it works.
I think that kind of goes into my next question. I was going to look to localize it a little bit here in Iowa, because I know Iowa consistently ranks as one of the states that has pervasive heart problems and stuff. And it's not hard to realize that a lot of our diets out here, there's a lot of fried food, a lot of pork tenderloin, a lot of hearty meals. What would you recommend people who consume a lot of fried and or processed food to do if they want to actively change their diet? Obviously, there's moderation, but if they were looking to make kind of maybe meaningful steps to live a heart-healthy life, what would you suggest?
Iowa used to be the vegetable capital of America. This was many years ago. But America's fruits and vegetables were grown in Iowa until it converted to corn and soybeans. We need to go back to eating fruits, vegetables, grains, healthier foods, and not so many products that are made from corn and soybean ingredients. So I would like to see Iowa become the state that represents really, really healthy diets. Eat your veggies and don't drink too much sugar-sweetened beverage.
I know some of these go hand in hand too. I mean, obesity is a thing, obviously. Food insecurity, food deserts, the sort of rapid rise of weight loss drugs like Ozempic and stuff like that. But what do you see as a particularly concerning trend?
Well, Well, we're going through a big transition with so many people taking these GLP-1 drugs. And to me, the fascinating thing about those drugs is they make people who are eating them not want to eat junk food. They make people who are taking those drugs want to eat more healthfully. If that's what it takes, I say let's go for it. But you can do that without taking drugs. Just go to the grocery store and stick to the produce section.
The next time someone goes grocery shopping, maybe they should spend more time in the produce section. But in your opinion, what should they be paying attention to? What should they look for or look towards, especially people that maybe might not put a lot of thought into nutrition labels or what is advertised on the products they're buying?
The major rule about healthy diets is to eat a wide variety of relatively unprocessed foods. That requires people to know how to cook. If there's one thing that I would advise to anybody who's concerned about their diet is learn how to cook. It's not very hard. It's really fun, and you get to eat what you do. Nothing could be better. If you've got enough money to have the equipment, if you've got a stove, if you've got a refrigerator, if you've got pots, learn how to cook. It's really fun. Oh, and learn how to grow real food.
I love it. She is Dr. Marion Nestle. One more for you, Dr. Nestle. Your research obviously is expansive. It's ever growing too. Clearly, you've got some works in the future and everything like that. But beyond your research, your academic excellence, all your accomplishments, I can only imagine the size of your trophy case. What should people know about Dr. Marion Nestle? What would you like people to know about you, the human being?
Well, everything. My life is an open book on my website, foodpolitics.com. And I also wrote a memoir, Slow Cooked, that came out a couple of years ago, that should be available in libraries. And I would hope that people would read it. It's kind of the story about how I did what I did and got where I got. Not easily and very late in life. That's how come it's called Slow Cooked.
She is Dr. Marion Nestle. I want to give you the final word. Promote your website. You mentioned foodpolitics.com. Promote your social medias. Where can people find you? Where can people read your research and all your great stuff, Dr. Nestle?
Absolutely everything is at foodpolitics.com. My papers, my presentations, everything that I can think of, I put up there.
She's Dr. Marion Nestle. She's a national treasure. Dr. Nestle, I greatly appreciate a little bit of your time, and I wish you nothing but continued great health and great research to come your way. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for having me on this.